There's a kind of silence that settles into a house after 10 years of marriage, a silence that isn't peaceful. It's rehearsed. Like the echo of small lies stacked up neatly beside the leftovers in the fridge. That's the kind of silence I was living in when I found the list. It was a Tuesday. The kind of Tuesday that blends into a Monday with a fresh shirt. I was home early for once, thanks to a busted client meeting that got canceled before I even left the driveway. My wife, Ellie, wasn't expecting me. I let myself in, tossed my keys on the counter, and that's when I saw it. Her notebook, the leather one she guards like it's made of gold leaf secrets. It was open. Now that was strange. I wasn't the snooping type, not before all this. But curiosity's got a way of grabbing you by the collar when things don't add up. I walked over, planning to close it. Instead, I saw her handwriting. A neat little list, clean bullet points, like a grocery list. Only, these weren't groceries. Red lace set, not from Macy's. Vanilla room spray. Black tie with silver pin. Hotel, Thursday, 2 p.m. Mints. Let me be clear, we didn't buy any of that. Not the red lace, not the mints, and definitely not the hotel. We hadn't even been to a hotel in over a year, and when we did, it was a Best Western off the freeway with a leaky shower head and lukewarm coffee. Nothing about this list said, husband and wife weekend. It said something else entirely. I sat there at the kitchen counter, staring at those words like they'd been written in Morse code, and if I just looked long enough, the truth would blink out in flashes. She walked in 10 minutes later, earbuds in, humming something upbeat. She didn't see me at first. When she did, she flinched, not visibly, but I caught it. Like a heartbeat missed. Hey, she said casually, slipping off her coat. You're home early. Client canceled, I said, just as casually, closing the notebook and sliding it aside. Her eyes darted to it. One beat too long. Well, you want coffee. That's the thing about betrayal, you don't smell it coming. It's not like smoke. It's not even like rot. It's more like a draft in a sealed room. Invisible. Quiet. But once you feel it, you can't unfeel it. And from that day forward, every draft in that house started feeling colder. I'm not a paranoid man. Or at least, I didn't used to be. But after reading that list, paranoia didn't feel like weakness, it felt like survival. I didn't ask Ellie about it. Not yet. That would have been too obvious. Too soon. I needed to be sure. Not just sure she was hiding something, but sure that I was the one being lied to, not just the one losing his grip. There's a difference. So when Thursday rolled around, I called in sick. Not sick like cough, cough. Sick like there's a black hole chewing through my chest, and I need to know what's on the other side. She left at 12:30, dressed nicer than usual. She said she was meeting Heather from HR to talk about a training session they're putting together. Could be a long one, she smiled. Don't wait up. I just nodded. Then I followed her. I stayed far enough back to avoid suspicion, close enough to track her. Her little blue Civic took the turn off the main road and slipped into a hotel parking lot like it belonged there. Not a chain. A boutique place. Stylish. Discreet. The kind of place that markets hourly rates in the fine print. I didn't get out of the car. I just watched. She walked inside. Alone. A red gift bag in her hand, something lacy barely peeking over the edge. She didn't look back. Not once. I waited 20 minutes. That's all I could stomach. Then I drove home. Windows down. Music off. Just the wind and my thoughts, both screaming in my ears. At 6:47 p.m., she walked through the front door like she'd just come from a Pilates class. Sorry I'm late, she said, kicking off her shoes. Heather wouldn't stop talking. You'd think she was writing a novel. Everything go okay? I asked. She smiled, perfectly. Like a toothpaste commercial. Yeah. Boring, but fine. Then she kissed me. Lightly. Just on the cheek. And went upstairs to shower. I stood in the kitchen alone. Still. That kiss felt like someone placing a hand on your shoulder just before pushing you off a cliff. She didn't lie well. She lied confidently. And that made it worse. Because it wasn't a mistake. It was a routine. The thing about betrayal is that it doesn't kill you all at once. It's more like slow drowning in clear water. Everyone sees you, but nobody jumps in. I waited 3 more days. Not because I had the patience of a saint, but because I needed one more reason. One more sign. Something undeniable. And wouldn't you know it, she gave it to me. Wrapped in leather and sealed with a pin loop. The notebook. I hadn't gone through it the first time. Just the page with the list. But that Sunday morning, when Ellie went out for her early yoga, I opened it up like it was Pandora's box. Only what spilled out wasn't chaos, it was clarity. Page after page of to-do lists, grocery notes, and passive-aggressive reminders like, "Logan, for God's sake, stop leaving the cabinet open." I almost closed it. Almost. Then I flipped to the back. There it was. Another list. Same handwriting. Same bullets. Room 217. Check in under Dawn. Wine, Merlot. Extra razor. Call Chase if running late. Bring cash, no card. Tell Logan soon? I didn't breathe. Didn't blink. I read that last line again. Tell Logan soon? That's me, by the way, Logan. I didn't rage. Didn't flip the table or punch a wall. That's not my style. No, I just sat there, hands on the notebook, staring like it might apologize. It didn't. Instead, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Ellie. Pick up almond milk when you're out. T-checks read hard. The heart emoji hit harder than any slap. I closed the notebook, set it aside, then walked into the kitchen and made myself a cup of coffee like I wasn't watching my life collapse in slow motion. By the time she got home, she was glowing. "How was yoga?" I asked casually. "Restorative," she said, leaning in to kiss me on the cheek. "You wouldn't like it." Too much silence. She was wrong about that. I'd learned to live with silence, especially the kind that grows between two people who sleep in the same bed but dream on opposite sides of the truth. That night, I couldn't sleep. So I got up, went into the garage, sat in my car, hands on the steering wheel. And that's when I decided, if I was going to lose everything, I was going to go down knowing everything. I picked up my phone and dialed a name I'd seen scribbled 3 times in her notes. Chase. It rang 3 times before he picked up. Yeah, that voice. I'd heard it before, once or twice in passing. At company parties. Over speakerphone in our kitchen when he called to check on a spreadsheet. Smooth. Confident. Like a man who wears cologne to the gym. "This is Logan," I said, flat. No fluff. No preamble. A pause. Then, "Logan. Ellie's husband. MHM. Longer pause this time. I could practically hear the calculations firing behind his eyes. Do I lie? Do I play dumb? Do I hang up? "Well," he said eventually, "this is unexpected." You know what else was unexpected? Room 217. In the name Dawn. I let it hang there, heavy and sharp. To his credit, he didn't deny it. Not exactly. She didn't tell me you knew. She didn't know I knew until just now. Another beat. So, what now? Now. That's the question, isn't it? What do you do when the man who's been trespassing in your marriage answers your call with less guilt than a guy picking up a pizza order? I didn't shout. Didn't threaten. That would have been giving him too much. I don't want explanations, Chase. I want clarity. I'm not sure what you mean. I clenched the phone tighter. Then let me make it easy. Are you sleeping with my wife? His breath caught. Just slightly. Like he was surprised I'd ask so directly. He paused again, then said, yes. No drama. No apology. Just a clean, confident yes, like he was confirming the weather. Got it, I said. That was all I needed. But he kept talking. It's not what you think. They never say it is. I mean, it wasn't planned. It just happened. Of course it did. That's always the script. Like people just trip into each other's beds the same way they trip on the stairs. You work with her? Yeah. How long? For years. But this only started recently. I hated how calm he sounded. How carefully measured each word was. As if he'd rehearsed it in the mirror in case this call ever came. Why her? I asked. Not out of jealousy. Out of scientific curiosity, almost. Like trying to understand what makes a man look at someone else's wife and say, yes, I'll take that. He exhaled, and for the first time, I heard something resembling discomfort. She's magnetic, he said. Sharp. Intense. You know that already. She said things were strained at home, that you'd grown distant. I don't know. I believed her. I'm sure you did. She never badmouthed you, he added quickly. She just said she felt like she was fading into the background. That you stopped seeing her. Stopped seeing her. That one landed. Because in some ways, maybe I had. Between the work trips, the mortgage, the routines that kill the spark like slow poison, it's easy to go blind to the person sleeping beside you. But I hadn't left her. I hadn't replaced her. I was just trying to hold it all together. She told you she felt invisible, I said. So you made her feel seen. Chase didn't answer. He didn't need to. I appreciate your honesty, I said, emotionless. You're taking this pretty well, he replied, uncertain. I'm not taking it well, I said. I'm taking it in. There's a difference. We ended the call there. No threats. No plans to meet in a dark alley. Just silence. The kind of silence that settles over a battlefield when the smoke's cleared and the bodies are still warm. When I walked back into the house, Ellie was in bed, one hand resting on a novel she wasn't reading. She glanced up, smiled faintly. Couldn't sleep? Nope. Want to talk? Not yet. She nodded, like she expected that. Like she knew the clock was ticking, but the timer hadn't gone off. Not yet. The next day, I took the notebook to a storage facility across town. Got a locker. Threw in the notebook, a USB drive with backups of her texts, and a spare set of house keys she didn't know I still had. Labeled the box Truth. Nothing poetic. Just practical. Because if this ship was going down, I was going to make sure I had the black box ready. That night, I stared at her from across the table as she scrolled through her phone. She looked up and smiled, the same way she always had. Like everything was fine. And that's when it hit me. She didn't know I knew. Not really. Sure, she might have sensed I was off. But the lie still lived. And she still believed in it. That was the part that stung, not the affair. The performance. The ease with which she played both roles, the doting wife and the woman in room 217. I watched her for a long time that night. Studying her the way you study a painting you once loved, trying to see if the cracks were always there or if time had made them. She had a new glow now. A confidence. Like she was winning something. And that's when the thought crept in quiet, cold, uninvited. She's not afraid of losing me. That's when I knew. She needed to be. People think betrayal breaks your heart. It doesn't. It catalogs it. You start taking stock of everything, every joke you shared, every lazy Sunday morning, every I love you muttered over a half-eaten meal, and you ask one impossible question. Was any of it real? That Monday morning, I got up before Ellie. I made coffee, sat at the table, and wrote a list. Not a to-do list. Not even a revenge list. Just inventory. What I gave her. 10 years of loyalty. A mortgage she never had to stress about. Back rubs during her migraines. Surprise flowers every third Friday. Yes, I kept track. My trust. What she gave me. Lies. A man named Chase. Room 217. The scales weren't balanced. But they never are they? Not until you tip them. She came down around 7:30, hair still damp, robe loosely tied like it hadn't just shared secrets with another man a few days ago. You're up early, she said, leaning in for a quick kiss. I let her. Because I wasn't ready yet. Not to explode. Not to confront. I was still preparing. You don't go to war without scouting the terrain. I couldn't sleep, I replied. Too much on my mind. Anything I can help with, she asked, pouring herself coffee like a woman who's got nothing to hide. Nah, I said. Just work stuff. She smiled, relieved. And that, right there, was confirmation. Not concern. Relief. She wasn't worried about me. She was worried about her story staying intact. That's when I decided to flip the script. Around lunch, I sent her a text. Hey, thinking of planning a weekend getaway. Just us. What do you think? She replied almost immediately. Ooh, really? That sounds amazing, Red Heartwear. Haven't decided. Maybe something fancy. You've been working hard. You deserve a break. I watched the dots bubble on the screen for a while before her next message came through. You're being sweet. Is this a trap? Grinning face with smiling eyes. If only she knew. No trap. Just want some time with my wife. Like old times. Okay then. I'm in. Pick the place and surprise me. Perfect. Over the next few days, I played the role I was supposed to. The affectionate husband. The spontaneous romantic. I even made reservations at a luxury spa resort 2 towns over. Made sure she could Google it if she got suspicious. I dropped hints about massages and matching robes and how we've been off lately, and I want to fix that. She bought it. Because I was giving her exactly what she wanted, not accountability, but distraction. I started leaving out little clues. A trail of breadcrumbs to see if she'd bite. The first was a receipt from a surveillance gear shop. Just casually placed on the kitchen counter. Hidden in plain sight. She saw it the next day. Picked it up. Frowned. What's this? She asked. Oh, that's old, I said, not even looking up from my laptop. I was helping Mike install cameras at his lake house. He's paranoid about raccoons. She laughed. You're a good friend. I smiled. That's what they say. She tossed the receipt and walked away. No follow-up. No suspicion. Strike one. The second was more subtle. I left my phone open on the couch, screen on a paused email. The subject line was, Private Investigator Inquiry. just long enough for her to walk past, glance down, and freeze. She didn't say anything, but I saw her linger. That night, she was extra touchy, extra affectionate. Cooked my favorite dinner. Sat in my lap like it was 2014 again, and we were still in that newlywed honeymoon phase. She was trying to resecure the mask. I let her, because now I knew. She wasn't just guilty. She was scared. I'd been documenting everything. Notes, times, voice memos. I even put a tracker in her car. Not because I didn't believe what she was doing, but because I needed proof that would hold up when this house of cards finally collapsed. You don't burn a bridge without blueprinting the damage first. On Thursday, I checked the app. Her Civic had parked at a location I didn't recognize. A wine bar. 30 minutes later, it pinged again. Hotel parking lot. Room 217 again. It wasn't even creative anymore. Same play. Different day. Same woman. Different version of the truth. She got home at 9:47 p.m. Hair messy. Lipstick reapplied poorly. She walked in like she was worn out from girl talk. I greeted her with a kiss on the forehead and a glass of wine. "You're sweet," she murmured. I nodded. "I try." Then I smiled. The kind of smile you give when the knife's already under the table. Friday morning, I made a stop at the bank. Cleaned out the joint account. Not all of it. Just enough to get her attention. Left the receipts in the safe she never opens. I canceled our resort reservation. Didn't tell her. Booked a different room instead. At the same hotel where she met Chase. Room 218. Right next door. Just for irony. That night, I handed her a small overnight bag. "What's this?" she asked. "For tomorrow," I said. "Don't pack heavy. I've got everything planned." "Really? Really?" She beamed. Kissed me like I was the hero of this story. And maybe I was. Just not the kind she thought. We arrived Saturday afternoon. Ellie wore her favorite sundress, blue, with little white birds across the hem. The one she hadn't worn in months. She smiled the whole ride there, humming along to old Coldplay songs like everything was healed, like 10 years of rot had been rinsed clean with one romantic gesture. She didn't know she was walking into a moment I'd rehearsed 100 different ways. I checked us in under my name, asked for the room with the best view. The receptionist smiled and handed me the key to room 218. Ellie didn't notice the twitch in my smile. We rode the elevator in silence. Her hand brushed mine. I let it. "You're being mysterious," she said as we walked down the hall. "You like mystery." She chuckled. "I like mystery novels. Not so much mystery husbands." I didn't answer. I opened the door to the room, stepped aside, and let her walk in first. It was a mirror of the one next door, identical layout. King bed. White linens. One of those oversized chairs by the window where people pretend to read and actually just scroll their phones. "Oh wow," she breathed. "You really did all this for us?" "Of course," I said, locking the door softly behind me. She wandered to the minibar like a kid in a candy store. "Wine?" "Champagne. Red's in the cooler," I said, pointing. She poured 2 glasses, handed me one, and clinked it gently. To second chances. I raised mine. To truth. For the first hour, I let the charade play out. We sat on the balcony. Laughed. Drank. She leaned her head on my shoulder and told me I'd been distant lately, and how this was exactly what she needed. I nodded. Inside, the clock ticked like a bomb. At exactly 6:12 p.m., the door to room 217 opened. I saw it through the balcony divider. Just a shadow moving. A man. Chase. Ellie was mid-sentence when I stood up. "I'll be right back," I said, already moving. "Wait. Logan." "What?" But I was already at the door. I stepped out, turned left, and knocked once on 217. Chase opened it. He froze. I smiled. "Nice view, huh?" "What are you doing here?" he hissed, blocking the door with his body. "You booked this room." "Thought I'd grab the one next door." "We should start a poker night or something." His eyes flicked past me toward Ellie's room. "She doesn't know, does she?" I leaned closer, dropped my voice to a murmur. "She thinks we're here to save our marriage. You think you're here to destroy it. Only one of you's right." Then I turned and walked back to 218. Ellie was standing just inside the door, glass trembling slightly in her hand. "Who was that?" she asked. "Room service," I said. "Wrong door." Her smile faltered, just a little. Later that night, after dinner and fake laughter, I opened the safe I'd hidden in my bag. Inside, a manila folder. I laid it on the bed between us. "What's that?" she asked. "Truth," I said, echoing my toast. "Go ahead." She hesitated. then opened it. Photos, screenshots, GPS logs, the receipt from the boutique where she bought the red lingerie, and, of course, a copy of the notebook page with Room 217 and Tell Logan Soon circled in red. She didn't speak for a long time. Her face went through a cycle: shock, guilt, fear, and finally, something harder. She looked up. How long have you known? A while. And you brought me here. Why? For this? Some twisted trap. No trap, I said. A mirror. So you could see what I see. She picked up one of the photos. Her and Chase, standing too close in the parking lot. She was smiling in that one, really smiling. I was going to end it, she whispered. You were supposed to tell me. But instead, you told Chase your husband was distant and your marriage was dull. Her head dropped. You were. I nodded. Probably. But I didn't cheat. She flinched at that. Just a little. Was it serious? I asked, voice level. I don't know. That's not a no. I didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't think you could. Her eyes glistened. What do you want me to say? I picked up the folder and tucked it back into the safe. I don't want words. Then what? I want you to pack your things, I said calmly. She blinked. Here. No. At home. I've already moved money. I've already called a lawyer. You can keep the car. I just want my peace. Her jaw dropped open. You're serious. Dead. She looked around the room like she'd just landed in a foreign country. You're ending this? Just like that? No, I said, standing. You ended this. I'm just giving it a name. She didn't cry. Not then. She stared at me for a long moment, then walked into the bathroom, closed the door. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. Whatever illusion she had that I would beg or bargain, it ended in that room, between two walls and one truth. She stayed in the bathroom for 30 minutes. When she came out, she didn't say a word, just climbed into bed and faced the wall. I lay beside her, wide awake, staring at the ceiling. I didn't feel victorious, just clear. The next morning, I was gone before sunrise. Left her a note. You lied in room 217. I told the truth in 218. That's the difference between us. Logan. When I walked through the door back home, the house was quiet. My house. I stood in the foyer, breathing in the smell of a space reclaimed. No perfume. No secondhand guilt. Just wood polish and silence. Ellie didn't come home that night. She didn't call. But at 7:13 the next morning, she texted. Can we talk? I didn't respond. Instead, I changed the locks. I called the lawyer again. Asked him to fast-track the paperwork. Then I packed up the framed wedding photo from the mantle, slid it into a box labeled Past, and dropped it in the attic. I wasn't being dramatic. I was being done. Later that week, she showed up unannounced, standing on the porch like a ghost who missed her haunting hours. You changed the locks? I changed the rules. She didn't know what to do with that. I was confused, she said, arms folded. You were coordinated, I said. There's a difference. Logan, it wasn't just a fling. Good, I said, stepping aside. Then maybe you'll stay with him longer than you stayed honest with me. Divorce is messy business. People act like it's just signatures and property splits, but really, it's an exorcism. You're gutting a shared life, room by room. She came by to collect her things the next Saturday. Brought her sister as backup. Smart move. There's a certain kind of silence you don't want to face alone. I stayed outside. Sat on the front steps drinking coffee, watching the neighborhood kids ride bikes like the world wasn't imploding in slow motion behind me. Her sister gave me a small nod on the way in. Pity maybe. Or respect. Hard to say. They were in and out in an hour. No tears. No second guessing. Just the sound of tape on cardboard and drawers being pulled from their rails like ribs from a skeleton. As she walked down the front steps for the last time, she paused. I didn't mean for it to end like this. People who start fires never mean to burn the house down. I'm not the villain. Then stop acting surprised when you're treated like one. She blinked. I blinked back. She left. You don't really understand what closure is until you find yourself repainting the guest room just to erase the color she picked out. I reclaimed the house one drawer at a time. Replaced the sheets. Tossed the scented candles. Donated the live, laugh, love decor she swore was charming. I took the notebook, the one with the original list, and sealed it in a fireproof box. Not to hold on to it out of pain. Just for record keeping. History should be preserved. Especially betrayal. Then I opened a new one. A fresh notebook. First page, clean. At the top, I wrote, what I won't ignore next time. Underneath, Laughter that isn't shared. Phones turned face down. Working late, too often. Compliments that sound rehearsed. The gut feeling that won't shut up. Because if you come out of something like this and don't learn a damn thing, then the loss wasn't just a scar. It was wasted pain. I said earlier I wasn't out for revenge. That was mostly true. I never wanted to ruin her life. I just didn't want her to walk away thinking she'd won. Because let's be clear, when someone sets fire to your world and skips away smiling, there's a certain justice in handing them a mirror on the way out. So, I mailed Chase a gift. A printed copy of the list. Her list. The shopping list that started all this. Red lace, hotel times, everything. On the last page, I added a handwritten note. She made this for me, Chase. Before she made time for you. Best of luck. She's great at lists. Terrible at loyalty. No return address. A week later, Ellie called me. Her voice was a whisper wrapped in static. You sent him that letter. I sent him the truth. He broke up with me. I'm sorry. She hesitated. No, you're not. No, I said, I'm not. Then I hung up. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not bitter. Or broken. Or pacing the house at 2 a.m. asking why I wasn't enough. Because I was. She just wanted more than enough. She wanted new. But new doesn't always mean better. It just means different. And sometimes, different has sharp edges. So now, I live in the same house. With fewer framed memories and a lot more breathing room. Sometimes people ask if I'm dating again. Not yet. Not because I'm scared. But because I know exactly what I bring to the table. And next time, I'm making damn sure whoever sits across from me doesn't think the menu's open to substitutions.